Talk to me also about, you mentioned a moment ago when you were talking about the frightening collection of infant DNA. You mentioned about how you got big pushback from HMOs, and I think you said the healthcare industry in general. When you say pushback, for folks who have not been on the inside, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, in any capital, probably there's a cohort of powerful interests. Those powerful interests are the ones that spend money politically. It could mean spending money by making political contributions directly to candidates' committees. And it could be increasingly, it's people who are entities and special interest groups that spend money directly on elections to influence an election where you're not subject to limitations. Most elected officials know exactly who those interests are. They know exactly who the humans connected to those interests are. So, politics is a very human business. And in the case of the when somebody votes necessarily because an HMO told them how to vote or something, right? It's really often the lobbyist for the HMO who handed you the check or who gave you the source of campaign funding or whatever, who you've got the personal relationship with. And then when that lobbyist comes to your office and says, vote against this bill, or comes and testifies to, in front of the key committee saying, kill this bill, that's often the thing that tips the direction to, that bill dying.
And how now that you're sort of out of office, do you kind of laugh at the politicians who argue that like this lobbying money has no effect on how they vote?
I've never not laughed at that. But, look, I taught a class on upper division poli sci at USC, great university here in Southern California. My students had a lot of what I would say, they had some innocent questions about this, and I tried to answer them as candidly as possible. The best way I would describe it is roughly a third of people in politics get into politics for the right reasons, and they're able to stay pure. They want to help people, and they make this their life mission. Roughly a third get into politics for the wrong reasons. They are just absolutely awful people, and they're very cynical and very Machiavellian, and every analysis is done through that lens. And then there's another cohort, another third, that gets in for the right reasons, but gets very easily seduced to for the wrong reasons. Some of my mathematical adherents will point out is that, well, that's 2/3 of people in politics that are there for the wrong reasons at any given time. And I say, yeah. And that can be just, listening to special interest groups or whatever. But the other thing that I point out to people, though, which should hopefully give them a little bit of assurance, is that there is not just one special interest group. There's always another side, right? There's almost always this adversarial system in the United States where there's different people pushing and pulling on both sides. I still think, though, that yeah, I mean, like the influence of money in politics is absolutely real, but it's to the degree that somebody makes decisions, I think, that sets apart the good people from the bad people.
And on this kind of topic, one of the things that sort of, I don't know, came out of the consultant class after 2024 was that the Democrats needed to be more like the average Joe.